Hello, we're talking today about what is really going on in the real estate world. Every news media channel, every newspaper, most of the real estate professionals that are paying attention to what's going on are talking about this subject. The NAR settlement of a $1.8 billion lawsuit that they now want to settle for $418 million. And that $418 million settlement has a couple of new MLS rules that they also want to apply. A couple things we want to get things straight. The NAR, National Association of Realtors, and any local association of realtors has not fixed, never has had a guideline for what commissions should or shouldn't be. Fox Realty, we already are a full service, flat fee listing company. We've always thought that 6% was way too much for the cost of selling a home. And it just blows my mind the number of people that think that 6% is a going rate or a standard or a guideline. It's never been anything. It's always been negotiable between the client and the agent. Several individual brokerages can set their own fee. There's nothing illegal about setting their own fee for that. We at Fox Realty started our company in 2017 with the goal of helping clients save money on selling their property. This new settlement focuses on making sure that the public, the buyer specifically, knows more about what their agent is going to make, what they're going to do for that fee. And so these new changes that are going to be MLS rules forced down from the NAR, number one rule that they're going to imply is no longer will a listing agent be able to talk about, display, advertise, or mention the buyer's agent's compensation amount in that MLS. What that's going to do is create a market where there can be no steering and driving to properties, driving clients to look at more properties that are just offering higher compensation, because no one will know those compensation amounts unless they go and do research, meaning on off MLS websites or picking up the phone and agent-to-agent conversations where they can inquire about what the compensation is. So that's the first change. The second change is that they're going to make it a rule that a buyer and a buyer's agent need to have a written agreement before they see properties. And that written agreement should specify how much the agent is going to make for doing their job as a buyer's agent and what actual activities or functions, what they're going to do to earn that amount of money. Doesn't mean that that buyer's actually paying it. The contract can actually say that the buyer's agent has the power to go and negotiate for that from a listing agent or from a seller directly. So compensation might still, there's a big, everybody's afraid that buyers are going to now be all unrepresented because they can't afford to pay for their buyer's agent's compensation. And buyer's agent's compensation cannot be financed in via the current guidelines for mortgage lending. However, you could get a seller's concession, and that seller's concession can be used. FHA came out just this past week with their interpretation of the guideline saying seller can have a concession, and that concession will not count towards the current guidelines for what a seller can concede and pay for a borrower / buyer. So, two rules: no more displaying the buyer's agent's compensation or co-broke compensation on the MLS. Number two, a buyer and a buyer's agent need to have a written contract, what they're going to earn before they show properties. And that is a great new rule because it's going to make it more transparent for the buyer to know exactly what their agent is earning and agreeing to it in writing up front. What I'm finding out is there's so many agents that have never expressed or explained to their buyer client what they earn and what they do for what they earn. And only upon the closing do they see the compensation that the seller was offering them. The buyer paid for that compensation because it was built into the listing price and the sales price of the property. So this is going to create a whole new world in the real estate space, and at Gray Fox Realty, we're ready to embrace it. We see it as a great thing, helping our buyers and sellers with a more transparent and clear understanding of exactly what they're paying and where that money is going, whether it's to a listing agent, to a buyer's agent, and especially the buyer now knows exactly how much their buyer's agent is being compensated. And even in a webinar that I watched last week, says that if the seller is offering a compensation that is higher than what has been agreed upon by the buyer and the buyer's agent, that the buyer's agent can't get that extra compensation without first going and amending their contract with their buyer client, because the buyer client always needs to know exactly what their agent is earning. The reason for that is that seller's paying it, and if the seller is paying it, it's obviously built into the purchase price, aka the buyer truly paid for it because the buyer is the one that showed up with a checkbook and a mortgage on the day of closing. So we're at Gray Fox Realty here in Franklin, Tennessee, serving the Middle Tennessee market, especially Williamson County. And we would love to have a dialogue with anyone that has questions about what this is going to mean for them if you're thinking about buying or selling a home anytime in 2024, as 2024 is going to be a big transition year with all these new MLS rules coming out once the court approves this settlement from NAR. Mike, Gray Fox Realty, reach out to us, 615-656-8181. Peace out.